Persepolis has really caused an impact on me in the way that it shows the cruel reality of war and the consequences it can have on a person, a family, and a society in general. I think it is very interesting how this book is focused in the point of view of a child, because as children we see the world in a very innocent way, and we are very gullible, which as seen on the comic, adults take advantage of it just for economic reasons or for the wrong reasons as power or just gaining money. I think that this book really showed me how people are so capable of damaging so much just to obtain power, money, and religion can be a very dangerous way to hide injustice and suppression, as shown in this comic. This is just the reality of war, how cruel, how injustice it is, and how wrong it is. This comic shows how it can make a person really doubt on what is good and what is wrong, in the way that this child was taught by her family in a different way and in the right way, but in the other way her education and her school were showing her another things that were wrong, and she was in a very conflict perspective. And I think this is one of the main issues the book shows, how the suppression and how war can affect personally an individual in and damage the beliefs and the normal growth of a person. This book, in a very short summary, just shows the growth of a child called Marjane, and shows all these stages of a war, how it started so slow and so minimal, and then the repercussions just continue growing and growing and growing and becoming more and more becoming more and more suppression and more ways to obtain power for the ones that already had a lot of power. As said before, I think religion uh, is a very powerful weapon in the way that they show suppression by justifying it with religion. I think Marjane's parents were very important in the story in the way that they were revolutionaries. However, how the world started changing and the conditions of it were changing, they had to adapt and they had to go to a lot of pain. However, always thinking in the well-being of their child. I think that a girl she the main character shows that when you grow up in a war, you have to be prepared and change your mind a lot to be able to survive it. Mm, the political changes really affect social life, as I've mentioned a lot of times, because I think that is the main plot of the story. However, the other issues are suppressions, war, religion, etc. Marjane's uncle was very influential in her life and is a very important character in this comic, because he shows uh, the face of a revolutionary that dies in war, and by he was killed by the other part of the war, and he really was very influential in what Marjane is thinking later on, because Marjane starts as a very innocent, naive child, and then she starts to understand what is really going on and starts to get involved in war and starts to have her own thoughts, and in that process she's changed a lot of mind, but her uncle really shows her, and as well as her parents, what is right and what she should be doing. um Another very influential person in her life is her grandma. She, as well as Marjane, is very reckless. She thought taught her a way of living in which she was not oppressed. She had to fight um, against all that was going on and not all that she had to go through as she was growing up. So she, as a result, Marjane is a very different child from the other ones because she really believes in a change, and in some way very she's very involved in the war as she wants to go out and fight, and all these situations that go throughout the comic. At the end, she starts to go to like punk and music and in different type of um, dressings and stuff. And this was a way of all the society in general to deal with the problem, because they had like escape and they had alcohol, cigarettes, and this type of stuff. A very interesting thing about this comic is that it is based in the life of the author Marjane as well. She's called Marjane, and she had to live through this war that she represents in the book, as with practically practically the same names and same perspective. And it makes the comic just so much more special, as she went through all of this until an artist told her to express her feelings in the book in which she made, and she had that's why the book was so successful.